Before it became a sizzling Nat series, Jayaflava burst onto the scene as a bold, groundbreaking book, serving up heritage, spice, and stories with irresistible flair. What started on the page soon leapt onto the screen, blending fiery discoveries, hilarious behind the scenes adventures, and cultural treasures into one unforgettable journey. Today on Kaleidoscope Selinko Live Dialogues, we have the very heart and soul of Jayaflava, the vivacious storyteller bursting with life, laughter, and spice, infectious energy, and irresistible charm, Tasha Marikkar. So, very briefly, how did this title of Jayaflava come about?
I used to run music festival that I co-developed with my sister and my mother, and it was called Electric Peacock. And one of the artists who played there was a very famous DJ duo called house DJ duo called Basement Jacks, and I became very good friends with them. And actually, when I first started writing the book, I was sharing this with Felix from Basement Jacks, and then they ended up staying with me and for like a month in Sri Lanka whilst he was writing another piece, another album. And I was like, oh, I've come up with the name of my book. It's going to be the Encyclopedia of Sri Lankan Food. And he was like, what? That's such a terrible title. He was like, what are you thinking? And I was just like, what do you mean? And he was, I think this was maybe, there was a sort of protest happening at the time. And he kept hearing the words Jayaleva. And he kept asking, what does Jayaveva mean? And I was like, victory, celebration. But it can also mean something politicians use quite decisively, And he was like, well, I think you should use the word Jayaveva. And together we came up with Jayaflava.
So, when you were writing the book, did you uncover any stories that were truly surprising to you that then translated into the series as well?
Maybe there were certain things that were sitting in my face the whole time that I didn't quite recognize, like a sambal. Like a sambal is definitely a sambal. And it came with Indonesian and Malays coming to Sri Lanka, and that dish developed from their community. And I just think that was one of the things. And then the lamprey. The lamprey was a real shocker for me. The fact that it's a lempo, and that is also an Indonesian dish that they then put pork into and ham into, and then they put the fricadelles in. But essentially it's a widely consumed Indonesian dish.
While at the writing or filming, was there anything quirky, anything that weird that you came across as well?
In the Gangavadia, the local fishermen won't eat oysters because it's gross. And they will get other people to eat it, but they won't eat it because they think it's like a pond filter. And so the first time some of the people had ever eaten it was when we were filming. And I was like, no, try it. And they were like, no, we don't eat that. Just the insanity of kind of when you leave Colombo and then you've been on the road for about like a week or so and you come back and Colombo almost feels like a foreign land. I was just like, oh, what is this? Why is it? Oh, it's not saying anything against the rest of the country. It's just that there's such a vast difference between the metropolis that is Colombo and the rest of the country.
If there was a secret chapter that you could write for your book, what would that entail?
It was definitely all the recipes that are not something that people would want to be, like a brain curry or barber or like all the kind of awful stories I definitely wanted to put into my book, but I was told very categorically, no, for a book, it wouldn't appeal to people.
Was there ever a moment on set when you thought, oh my gosh, this is just too wild to make it into the final cut?
I do tend to swear a lot. And then there are moments of pure fear. Like I had to do a zip line twice because they couldn't catch it the first time on camera. And I was just like, I don't have the mental strength to do this, but I had to do it. They made me do a lot of daredevil things that I was like, I don't know if that's going to make the show, but it did. And it's actually really great quality TV. But at points I was like, I don't know if I want to do this.
So were there really funny things that happened? Any mishaps, those behind cut stories that actually happened during filming?
I'll tell you one thing. I don't know about other food influencers and how you see all this content online and the food looks so delicious, right? I mean, we had 2, 3 grueling days of filming in which I had to wear the same outfit for 3 days because of the way you have to cut it. And I just remember being like, there was so many kitchen fails in that experience. We failed so many times. It started again and film again. And I was just sitting there like, thinking, all these amazing, like that, the guys here, like the wild cookbook, they just produce so much content. How do they have the capability? How have they not made so many mistakes? But yeah, there was things like that. I really remember being like, that's an epic fail.
What was your biggest challenge in bringing Jayaflava to life?
Because Jayaflava is so in my head, I know what Jayaflava is not, but it's very hard to articulate what Jayaflava is. So really, a lot of the time, it would end up with me editing with the editor going, no, that's not Jayaflava. This is a joke between Aksar and I, but literally we must have spent, he was like, Tasha, stop looking at fonts. I must have spent about 3 months looking at fonts and going, what font is Jayaflava enough for the show? We must have done about 300 iterations of fonts. He was like, Kash, you're wasting so much time. No one's going to care that much about a font. But for me, it was so critically important. That's why the book took 8 years.
So, if you had to explain Jayaflava to someone who's never tasted Sri Lankan food or has absolutely no experience of it, what quirky metaphor would you use or what would you tell them?
Jayaflava is a celebration of everything it means to be Sri Lanka. The good, the bad, the ugly, the wonderful. It's everything. And I think it's a very honest portrayal of Sri Lanka. And I think what I want it to be is something that, even if you've never come across Sri Lanka or you've never come across Sri Lanka food before, you could pick it up and deep dive into that world.
Besides the ziplining, did after make you do anything that you really didn't want to do?
Oh, yeah, I had to eat some really gross stuff.
Like what?
Have you had catfish? We had Sri Lankan catfish.
Yes.
It's called gelatinous in terms of like when you eat it. And I mean, honestly, there were some times where I had to eat things like that. And I never lied. I was very honest about I was like, that is not something I would want to eat again. But yes, that was that. And I'm going to say it's something really controversial. I don't like sweets.
Oh, that iced Milo.
Oh, no, ice cream is great.
Okay.
But when you were like in Jaffna, we went to Sweet House. And I mean, I found that painful because it was just one sugary fried thing after another sugary fried thing. And I'm sure people do love it. But I just find sugar off-putting in general. And oh my God, that was really bad. I got an ulcer from eating it in one shot. I got an ulcer.
So, what are we to expect in the next few series that you plan on doing?
We went to different parts. We really traveled inland to the east, and we found some great stories. And we're really looking at, talking more from a regional perspective than from a dish perspective. But I think we're also really interested to hear what the public has to say. Because I remember at the launch, we had a read map, and we said, tell us your favorite thing of Sri Lanka, but crowdsourcing stories, because everyone might have a really wonderful story to share with us, and we love to bring to screen.
Is there also another book in the making?
So I have already written my second book. I've written the plan. I've written all the dishes. I've also written a third book where I know what I want in that. But books take a lot of planning and time, and you have to sit and when I first wrote my first book, I'm not kidding, I was a size 10. And when I finished the book, I was a size 12, 14. Because you just cook, repeat, and you have to test. You have to test so much. There was a point where I would put to people on Facebook like, hey, I bought excess food who wants to come pick up Sri Lankan food from me. And in London, I had a lot of people doing that. So yeah, I feel like I got the books coming up. I just don't know. I think mainly by the end of this year, the second book should be done. So probably get published the year.
Any sneaky gems you can get out about those two books?
My second book, I want to explore Sri Lankan ish. So things that maybe it's more aimed like that, like at younger people who don't want to sit and laboriously make, a curry. Yeah. I find pure joy in doing those things, but I know it's not for everyone. But for instance, like I make a one pot biryani with meatballs, which is really good, and I make it in about 20 minutes. So I'd have recipes like that. I want to do sandwiches, Sri Lankan style sandwiches. So you look a sandwich, we always take a sandwich on the road with us. I want to really focus on how to do shorties quicker. So on my Instagram, I have one where I make shorties, but with instead of making the pancake, the mutton roll, I make it with the rice paper and I dip it in egg and then I put in bread crumbs, and it's like half the work. So those are the kinds of styles for the second book, and then the third book is that very traditional, going into different parts of the country and actually writing an anthropological study of all the recipes that might go missing.
From YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, Kaleidoscope brings you stories that matter. Subscribe, follow, and stay tuned. Don't miss a moment.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the risks. Silicon